And we were not just little small people. We were priests, which means that in the category of the elders, in the category of the scientists. Now, in addition to this history, which I'll come back to because I want to continue here with another point before I return to that. But in case I don't return to that, just remind me that I was going to say something else about the Greeks and how they got their training and education. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that they cannot make an absolutely new world without the black man. They can bring their ideas into creation, but what they're doing is they're reviving the old ancient wisdom and then taking credit for the discovery. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we were well schooled in medicine. We knew the circulation of the blood. We knew how the brain functions. We knew that the planet, the planet wasn't flat and that we go in a circular motion. But now what you see at the end of their time to rule and to master the original man, that was one of the things they had to do. They had to master the original man, so they're like Dracula. You know, visit you in the night and take your blood, you know, and go on experimenting and experimenting. I don't know if you know this in the early history of Islam, but many of our early teachings and even the structure and dynamics of the great ship that we talk about, the mothership that's connected to all these UFO sightings and all of the other unusual materials that they're now researching, they sent their agents into Detroit, Michigan, and they literally stole, took away to Washington. And they've been studying what we call lessons and the use of the atoms and all of these courses of study. They began to study it to manufacture, and that's why they're making the progress that they're making today. So they keep us ignorant, illiterate, so they can use us as a tool. But and they keep us away from his social equality, because when we learn how filthy he is in all his affairs, we will run them from among us. And do you know that that goes all the way back to the little island where they were produced? And when they were completed in make and form in the image of their maker and father, they went back to the Holy Land, which is not the paradise land that you read here. Just take the letters and the sound. The garden of what? Eden. Eden. We have in Arabia, Aden, the port of Aden, just a change of a vowel. And they went back into the land of the black. You know, they have lost black history in Saudi. And they had to come up under the rule of the immigrant, or migration of Abraham, who was living in Ur, Chaldea, which is another black base. And Abraham was given the orders that he had to travel out of his sacred homeland, Ur, and travel to make a sign in Palestine. So when he went to Palestine, he also had a stopover in Saudi Arabia. So you will notice that all of these prophets that we mentioned, from Abraham to Lot to Moses to Aaron, to all that we mentioned, they had a double mission, a double sign. And we'll go into that history at another time. But when he left Chaldea, went to Arabia and set up the sign that the pilgrimage route is a part of what we call the Hajj to the holy city of Mecca. And in the southeast corner of that monument, which is a cube draped in a black veil, they want to kiss the most sacred black stone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Just like we have all of the black virgins that we find in Europe and Russia and Europe, and they were very, very close to John Paul II, because he also went to Portugal and he worshipped every year a special pilgrimage to worship Fatima. Now Fatima, because it's named Fatima, Portugal, where the vision of those three peasants or young people received these words through the manifestation of this female called Fatima. Now, isn't that interesting? It's supposed to be Mary, the mother of God, but in this instance, because it happened in Fatima, you're reminded of Islamic history. See? And the Fatima is the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, his most famous daughter, who was married to the Caliph, who later became the Caliph Ali.
Yes.
Okay? So what I'm giving you is samples of how the teaching that we have received will keep you going, and you will always be on fire. Because you're going to be learning so many things about yourself and others that it will keep your mind alert, and you'll start turning on parts of the brains that we don't use. Like they say, we only use about 10%, of the brain. Well, what's going on in the other part of the brain that we haven't got it hooked up yet, But the brain feeds off of knowledge. If the brain does not receive knowledge, it goes to sleep. Okay? So if the brain goes to sleep because we are not seeking the food that keeps it moving, then we get more and more sluggish, right? We fall more and more back into, lethargy, unattentive. But when we know that the root knowledge of this universe and all races and all peoples comes from our originator, of which we are a part, then that gives you what? More energy? You're more interested? Our young people won't be dropping out of school because they teach a Europeanized, made up, for the main, perspective from their mind to keep you chained and locked into their educational system, out of which their base is the black man. And so we have to take back what belongs to the original man and reclaim, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it for years, reclaim our own. And our own is not just Mother Africa. Our own is everything that we created in the beginning. The whole planet Earth. Every square inch, every square mile, everything that's happening, so that we can begin to speak as a man and a woman would speak, who has knowledge to continue the journey. And then when we stand up with this knowledge and are not shaky and not afraid to put it out there, and then thank the white man for doing the research that you wouldn't let us do. So go on, get it on. Bring it out. And every time you have these new discoveries, we'll say, whoa, you got the knowledge of the original man, and you're helping us to get it. So we thank you very much for proving who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is. And because this country, brothers and sisters, never had a prophet, a real angel, a real whatever you want to put the category, we can prove it. That this country never received guidance from a civilized man. We have been raised by beasts. We've been raised in a cave of darkness on this side of the planet. And it took God himself to awaken us. He could not even send an angel. He couldn't send a messenger. So when you look at the Masonic code there, it said that the architect of the temple had been hit in the head and was killed. Is that right?
Yes.
And was buried up under the monument. So that means that we were buried in the mud of civilization, though we're the architect and we are the maker and we are the creator and we are part of the family of the originator.
That's right.
So in dealing with these kinds of subjects, I know you have to listen and your attention span is probably like, oh, I wish I could stand up and breathe. Stand up if you want to. Really, it's fine. Exercise is good.
Yes, yes.